Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lockdown TV. Another great face that we have today. We'll be profiling. I'm so excited to be sitting with another under 21 player, Tumi Mahloko. Hi, welcome. I like your dimple.
Oh, thank you.
I only have one, and like I feel like you said it's
so open.
I know, it's like yeah, it's great, it's unique. You see, like uniqueness is the name of the game, and that's what we're going for, right? Because one has dimples like everyone else, you must stand out, so we'll know. Like, which became the one with the dimple here? That one. You see.
I feel you.
You feel me? I'm so glad you feel me. Okay. So, all right. So I'm gonna time you, right? I'm gonna start the timer. So I like starting with an icebreaker. Okay. So you're gonna have 1 minute. I'm gonna ask you questions, and you have to just answer what's at the top of your mind. Okay.
Okay.
Because this show is all about getting to know you guys. We know you guys on the field, on the court, right? We know you guys as national team players, but we really want to know who you are behind the scenes, what makes you tick, what makes you human. How can an ordinary South African young girl aspiring to be like you relate to you, all right? I know some people like Manina, and they probably think, it looks like a sushi kind of girl. But maybe we do like some chicken dust, you know?
Right. No, I feel it. Let's go.
Okay, let me just set the timer. Let me start the timer now. Okay, 1 minute starts now. Okay, favorite meal?
Sample stew.
Favorite TV show?
Lupin.
Favorite movie?
Jumanji 2.
Favorite song?
McMill, Dreams and Nightmares.
Favorite book?
Crushing by T.D. Jakes.
Love it. Favorite holiday destination?
Durban.
Okay, favorite player or role model?
Favorite player, role model? I'd say Sharon Layton, the former Australian player.
Okay, favorite coach?
I don't have any. Coach Boingi and Coach Dr.
Okay.
I got those two coaches in.
Okay. Wait, did you answer me about the coaches?
Yeah.
Wow, who did you? I didn't hear you. Who did you say?
I said Coach Dr. Alfred Jordan and Coach Bongi.
Okay. I feel like all you guys, when I interview you, you have to say your coach or someone within. Otherwise, you lose you're gonna lose your starting position. Okay.
It's difficult to choose because I've been coached by a lot of coaches, and all of them have added something to my life. So they all been my favorite, with certain aspects.
Yeah, I can imagine. And your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is "It gets better."
That's great. Okay. Well, now that we've established who this girl is, we want to take it back and we want to understand how you got to being this girl. So you've got to take it back to us about where it all started at home and how you find yourself playing netball. Or was it by default? Or was it something that you stumble upon? Or was it something that you're very intentional about playing? So let's start from there. So tell us about where you from, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. For me, netball was not like something that I planned to play. But then growing up, my mom was a netball player, and like I saw like the trophies, the pictures, and in primary, you play all the sports. You go from swimming, athletics, netball. But I remember when I was 9 years old, particularly, we had a netball camp. Right. At this camp, that's where I met Cecilia Molokwane, the president of Netball South Africa.
Wow.
And back then, she was a coach, right? And we're from the same area and everything. So that's where I met her. She was my coach. And then from that camp at school, she took me and asked me to play for her club, her local club, which is Rising Stars. And that's where I think for me started the platform for netball, the proper foundation started for me when I joined her netball club at the age of 9. Wow. So I mean, 11, I was playing with the seniors. So that foundation, like she really grew me through the sport and gave me all the resources, all the knowledge that I feel like I needed to know to become the player that I am. And as time went by, I realized how much passion I actually have for the sport, and all the way till 16, where I made my first SA team, and netball became okay, I think I want to take this more serious. So that after I made the under 16 team, and the following year I made the under 20 SA team.
Wow.
And then like now the under 21 SA team. So it just became I really think I'm good at this. And then it became, I have the discipline, I have the passion to play the sport. And so that's where it all started for me. Like back at home in Limpopo, just, normal girl trying to play netball. And here I am.
Wow. Okay. So, and home, like, are you the only child? Do you have siblings?
I have 2 older brothers, and I'm the last born.
Oh, like me. Okay. So I have 3 older brothers. I'm the last born. So yeah, I'm like the baby of the house, but I'm not such a baby anymore.
Of the house.
Like this is a whole married baby now. Like
Ooh, wow.
So not such a baby anymore, but I can relate. I can definitely relate. So
Yeah.
did you find that your parents like treated you like an egg?
I think more like I'm the only girl, so my mom always wanted a girl. So as soon as like I just arrived, she was just this is my princess. And everything. So I was raised in the princess manner. So yeah, princess guarded by her brothers and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I completely relate. So who between your mom and your dad has the dimple?
Actually none of them have a dimple. So I'm just like, wait till I get
And your brothers?
Nobody has a dimple. I'm like the only unique person, and I'm like,
and it's like one.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's great, man. I told you, you are unique like that. So don't even stress about it. Okay, so that's incredible that Miss Cecilia, found you at the age of 9. I mean, sure, that's an incredible journey because now she's, the netball president, so I mean, that is definitely an inspiring story for if you had wanted to move on beyond being a player and going into netball administration. She's someone who you know personally that can literally mentor you. So that's actually a really good relationship to have. Okay, so I want to like take it back now because you get discovered by her, you're part of her club. How was your experience like in primary school in terms of netball? Did you find that did you have like challenges? Was it easy for you? How was just that growth, that journey for you, just building and establishing yourself in this sport that you so love?
Yeah, I think for me, what makes netball easy in a way is because I have so much passion for it. So besides the talent, everything else that I was given. It was just the passion that I have for netball just kind of takes me through every challenge, just kind of makes every challenge like simple. Like, it's just, we're going to get through this, and what are the steps to get through it? So in primary, netball for me, before I met Chris Cecilia and joined her club and everything, netball for me was just like a seasonal sport, right? Didn't matter to me if I was like good or bad. It was just, that was the time for netball, and I was gonna play netball. As time went by, I just started realizing that, hey, I think I have like so much talent for the sport, and training, you know, is just making me better. Right, because now I want to know more. Now I'm watching netball. Now I want to know the skills. I want to know the ins and outs of netball. And I found that once I started like digging into the sport outside being on court, what you can do on court, that just made me a better player. So I've had a lot of challenges. I had my ACL in 2019, which took a year for me to recover from, but I initially thought this was going to be the hardest challenge for me, which it was, but because of the passion that I had for it, going to rehab every day was, you know, because of the passion that I have for the sport.
So were you still in high school when you got that injury?
No, it was my first year.
Oh, okay. So we're going to get to that. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so now you leave primary school. Where do you find yourself in high school?
So I went to Mission House College.
Okay.
It's a private school in Polokwane. And initially when I was in primary, I always looked at that high school and I was like, I really want to be there. And it wasn't a thing of sports-wise they were great. It was just, it's just the school of, I don't know, like when you just look at the school and just the culture of it and everything, it was just, I want to be there, and I felt like I belonged there. But you know, sometimes with some of our financial background, I just felt like it's not a school that initially my mom can just be like, okay, I'm gonna put you there, you know? But luckily, because of the sport, they saw me. I applied for a sports bursary, and they literally just called me for an interview the next day, and like, this, you come. And that's just to show that, you know, this like sports really does put you in platforms that you never thought you would be on, really.
Wow. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's absolutely incredible. So then how do you now navigate your way, because now you know that you are in high school rather, on a bursary. So you know that one, your grades have to be up to date. Two, you want to be a netball player, right? So you have to, you know, you can't perform below par, because you know you have the goal and you know where you want to be past high school. I mean, we know now with the netball league as well, the prospects of high schoolers just building themselves towards that possibility is there. So can you tell me about your journey in high school, some of your coaches, some of the lessons you learned, some of the challenges you had as well, and playing against other competitive schools?
Yeah. So when I got to high school, luckily with my high school, because it's not a sports school at all, like the high school that I went to was like purely academic. It was a big school that just had sports, you know what I mean? Those type of schools. So when I got to the high school, firstly, when they realized what type of athlete I am, or the level of an athlete I'm at, you know, they really did everything to carry me in a way. So that's something that I appreciated about the school. So they really gave me the extra lessons with the teachers. If I had maybe missed a week of school going to a netball camp or athletics camp, because at that time in high school I was still running athletics nationally as well, right? So I had challenges in terms of my academics because I had to miss certain weeks, but you know, the school really accommodated me in giving me the teachers to give me extra lessons, and they were very understanding because at the end of the day, I'm there for for sports, you know. Another, I had great coaches though. I remember I had a coach called Mrs. Zili, right? And for me, I realized that tough coaches do it for me. You know, when you're a tough coach and you just know how to put me in my place, it just really works for me and stuff. And I feel like there's certain ways to do it, not like tough where you like shouting and everything, but just those tough where you want to listen. And I've always been lucky to get those type of coaches. So I had that coach in high school. At the same time, I still had Cecilia on the side with the club team. So I was playing school netball and I was playing club netball, right? And so yeah, in high school went quite smoothly in terms of my net relay. I feel like that's where my came, because in grade 11, that's when I made my first SA team, like I mentioned, and it was just like up from there, like from under 16 to under 20. Like it was just an upscale from there, really.
How was that? Like, did you go for trials? Was it a matter of you were scouted at a netball match? How was that? What happened for you?
Is this for the under 16 SA team?
Yeah, the first time you broke into, yeah.
Oh, so you know how every year we have like is it national ages for netball? Like that, yeah, that time where they go to Janssen and then they play nationals. So I initially went to those trials for the Limpopo team to go to those nationals. Then I remember one of the coaches here at Limpopo were like, listen, there's winter games in Durban and they're going to choose an SA team. And I really, really believe you can make the SA team. At that time, I did not know about any SA team except the Proteas.
Yeah.
The Proteas was the only team that I knew of. So I was like, SA team? What?
I'm not even 18.
Okay. I was like, okay. I mean, I don't mind. Like, I was just like, for me, something that I really love about myself is I take every opportunity that is given to me, you know, without a doubt. Yeah. So immediately when I was like, okay, let's go. And it was in Durban, my favorite province in the whole country. So I was like, let's go make history in Durban. So that's exactly what I did. I went to Durban at the Winter Games. And we played a couple of days, and then they chose the squad, the top 35 team for the SA team now to play trials. So that's where I met Fifi. And the funny story about Fifi is her and I were both playing goalkeeper at that time.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it was like so competitive. I remember me and her kids looking at one another, Charles like, one of us is going to make the team and it's going to be me.
Oh my gosh, you're giving each other a side eye. Like,
I just like, girl, I ain't going to take that spot. So that's why I made Fifi. We both child and then we both made the team, right? And then when we got to Lesotho, because that's where the champs were, when we got to Lesotho, I moved to Queens. And she was a goalkeeper, and we made like a fantastic combination. Wow. And from there, we became the best of friends.
You guys, you feel like you've got a resemblance as well, funny enough, now that I'm looking at both of you.
Who says that?
Like, it's funny because I saw it and I'm like, no, but now that you're like me and Fifi and we friend and like, yep.
I promise you, everyone says we're twins. At netball, we called twins, the twins of netball. Like, and I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, really. The difference is just the dimple. You guys actually have a resemblance. You have a resemblance. I think when I interviewed her, I think she also has braids. right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she has braids. She
You
does.
guys look like you the same height, judging by
Yeah, I'm like this much taller than her. I'm really not that much taller than her.
yeah, almost. But so you guys look, even your mannerisms are similar. You can actually tell that you spend a lot of time together.
We are going to stop spending time together.
Maybe I should WhatsApp and say, "Refill and get." What did you say to your friend? Did you tell her that?
I didn't even know she had an interview.
What?
I didn't even know.
That's crazy because I spoke to her before you. So you literally the next episode after her. So it's so weird when you say Fifi, and I'm like, did these two have a conversation? Because
we had no conversation at all. At all.
Wow,
Nothing.
that's interesting. So you see, you guys have this telepathy thing happening. You see twin things.
I feel like have been separated at birth, maybe.
I think so, ne? I feel like someone's parents tell the truth.
Yeah. For real. For real.
Okay, so now you transition, out of high school, all right? You have to now take us through that journey, transitioning from there, tertiary. Take us through that until you find your way to the baby SPAR Proteas. I mean, we know that there's TNL as well. I mean, take us through the journey.
Oh my word. So 2019 comes, I'm going to varsity. I am scared, nervous because I knew that netball at varsity required a different beast. You understand? So, and the academics were not going to be any easier because at the time I was at GovCs, right? And I was studying investment management and banking. So my course was not easy and the training was not easy because we trained like twice or 3 times a day. And that's such a difference from high school where I would train probably 3 times or 4 times a week. And now I'm training 3 times a day, right? So at the beginning, my body really went through it. Like, I remember in the first 6 weeks, I was just done. I am trained and everything. But I got into it really nicely. I got into the system really nicely. I performed like really well and everything. TNL came, I made my first TNL team in my first year, the Free State Crinums. I was there and it was a very beautiful experience. You start to realize that this is the cream of SA netball.
Yeah.
So here you playing with the best of the best in SA. Yeah. Right? And your mind shifts. It's a whole different mental ball game and everything. So it was a tough TNL for me personally because I had to step up. It was not just Tumi from Limpopo shines, makes the team and everything, because everyone there had national colors. So you can't even say I'm a national player. Like everyone has SA colors and everything. So it was different. It was a different ball game, but I feel like I really I took what I had to take from it and I used it to build me, instead of like making myself like, oh, maybe no. I was just like, you know what? This is what we did, this is what we learned, and this is how we're gonna grow from it. And from there, I went to USAs, made my very first USA team. I was very blessed to make teams in my first year. So went to USAs, made my very first USA team, went to USAs, starting lineup, and you like all this responsibility is you starting the game, you finishing the game, and you need it needs to be 100%. Like there's no game where you can literally say, okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna give 60 for this one. Like there's no game. Every game is a mental game. You need to give 100%. And at USA for me was so tough on my body as well. And I feel like that's where that's why I had my ACL, because that's where my ACL happened. So my ACL happens on the third day of USA, I think. Oh my word. When that happened, I was like, what's going on? Because I'm first year, I don't know anything about ACLs. I just want to play netball. All these other things, I just like, they don't matter. You know, I just wanted to play netball. And at first I didn't think it was an ACL. I really thought, it's a knee thing. I've had knee niggles before.
Yeah.
I'll get over it. We'll move from it. 6 weeks later, I realized it's an ACL, baby girl. I remember when I was in the doctor's office, and I looked at him and I was like, don't say it's an ACL. Please don't say it's an ACL. And he said it's an ACL.
Wow.
I was bawling. I was calling my coach and I'm like, it's an ACL, nah. You know, but the assurance was there of, you know what, ACLs have happened before at GovCs, and we have the base rehab people, and you're gonna get through it. And that's exactly what happened. I went through with my surgery. I had the best. Personally, I feel like that was the best biokinetics a girl could have ever gotten. I had the best physio, and I literally got through it. So a year later, but then COVID happens. So now I'm just like, what's going to happen? And not realizing that actually COVID for me was the best thing that could have ever happened, right? Because I was going to miss your World Cup qualifiers because I wouldn't have been ready by that time, right? For the under 21 World Cup and everything. So COVID was the best in disguise. I go home, I get equipment, and I carry on with my rehab. And a year later, I go back in September 2020. COVID is a bit settled. We go back, and I'm going for my second tier now, right? And that is Crinums. And I make the SA team 2 weeks after I get cleared. Biggest blessing of my life, but at the same time, the SA trials were probably the hardest trials of my life, because at the SA trials, I got an ankle injury, and I twisted my and like I get food poisoning at the trials.
What?
Literally, I promise you.
Sure. So in that moment when it's the SA trials, you getting food poisoning, like all of this is happening all at once. You mentioned something about Bishop T.D. Jakes' book. Are you a spiritual person? What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated in that moment where you feel like, okay, my world is coming to an end right now?
Yeah. So I was actually reading that book at that time, right? And I feel like through the process of my ACL, I became so much of a spiritual person. So when that happens, I'm thinking, I haven't been on court for a year.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't been in this under 21 group to say they will know how I play. Right? So I firstly was at a point where I felt like I had to prove myself. Secondly, I'm going through whatever I'm going through. It was really the worst time of my life. But I remember all I could tell myself is, get yourself together. Get yourself together. Pull yourself together. Just strap your ankle. Do whatever you have to do, because you know this is your dream. You know you have to be here. You're meant to be here. So get yourself together and carry on with what needs to be done, basically. So I literally played through the food poisoning. I played through the twisted ankle. And until the very last day where they announced my name in the team, and I was like, this is what we came here for, and the job is done. So I can go home, I can rest, I can sort out my ankle, I can do everything as long as the job is done. For me, getting the job done was very important at that point. Yeah, so I make the ST team for TNL. So at 2020's TNL, I'm playing for the Feasted Cannons, and I'm playing for the SA team. Oh my word, one of the hardest hardest competitions of my entire life. And Fifi is my roommate. So I felt like that made it better because we are both going through the same thing.
Yeah.
But I had to wake up, go to the Freestyle Condoms training and go to the SA training. And then we had to go to two team talks, play 2 games a day. Like, it was just hectic. But you know, we got through it. And again, you just take whatever that lesson that it gives you, you just take it and you take it through to the next competition. And that's exactly what we did. I just feel like it made us like better players, really.
So your most memorable netball game?
Oh, it has to be the SPAR Challenge game against the President's 12, our third game. Our third game.
Why?
Is by far, because so we were playing a series against them where we played 5 matches against the President's 12.
Yeah.
And at that point, we had already lost 2 matches. And we were left with 3 matches, right? And that means if we had to lose this third game, it was going to be a walkover from there. Right? So it was very important for us to win the third game. And when I say, when we walked to the court, everyone was just pumped up. The team spirit was just on another level.
Yeah.
And you know what, that for me, like just looking at the score, looking at my coaches on the side and looking at like the time where it's like it's less than a minute, and you know, and just knowing that we've taken it, and it's like all that work, all that going back to the board, like going back to looking at the game, the analysis, the team talks, and everything that we spoke about, we just showed it on court. That yes, we're the baby Proteas, and we might not be going to the World Cup, but we're not here to play around. We here to compete. And that's exactly what we did. That game showed it.
Wow. So in closing, final question, your advice for aspiring netballers who want to emulate what you have done in terms of maybe mentality, you know, just your advice quickly for them.
Literally, you can be anything you want, and there's no excuse for not being great. So there's no excuse for not having the resources. There's no excuse for anything. If you want to be someone at a certain level, you can literally be that person, and all it takes is heart and passion and prayer and dedication. Because I feel like all of those things, you start to realize that you can be anything, and you know, the extra stuff don't really matter. Yes, they enhance you, but being great just needs yourself first. And then the other things just come, everything just comes together. And just trust in the process. Just trust the process.
Trust the process. Thank you so much, Brittany. It was an absolute pleasure having you today on our episode of the Lockdown TV. Thank you so much. All the best for everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Enjoy your day.
Bye. You too.